Hi, Tony here with React Lessons, and today I'd like to talk to you about helper render methods, what they are and how they are useful. So, helper render methods are essentially a design pattern that helps you write better and cleaner React code. Um, it increases readability and decreases complexity by having separation of concern and increases encapsulation as well. And over time helps with the extraction of these helper methods into their own components if you need that. So let me show you. So here we have an example application that is supposed to demonstrate an overly complex render method. This is, again, trivial. I could make this more complex, but just for demonstration purposes, I did this. So the first thing you should think about when breaking down components into helper methods is what things are common, right, to keep the separation of concern property. So again, obvious example here, but for demonstration purposes, we see that we have a header section here, so we could pull that out into its own helper render method, which we could call, let's say, header, right? And again, let's see, the next one we could pull out is the list of names. Pull that out and let's call that helper render method list. You'll notice that we no longer need these two variables in the render method, and that kind of demonstrates the separation of concern and encapsulation property that I was speaking about earlier. So that still renders the title, the subsection, and the names, right? But imagine for a sec down the road, let's say this render helper method becomes very much more complex. So we have things like on click handlers, on change handlers. We might have things that you need to do on mount or mount or will mount or any of the other lifecycle methods that we have provided to us. At that point, it makes sense to kind of pull this thing out into its own module that you could test and have encapsulated completely separate from this component. So if you kept with the helper render method design pattern, this should be extremely easy. It should literally be as easy as pulling out all this stuff, just copying this over, and let's say you would have this in an external file, but I'll just have it here for now. Whoops. And then you could just literally just delete this part and delete this part and call it here. And again, it renders correctly. It shows how useful it is basically to have this design in your React application. I highly recommend it. So there you go. That's React helper render methods, and I hope you find them useful. Thank you.